Great news for Social Security's cost of living adjustment announcement overnight. As take a look, the president has signed. He says, I just signed the law to keep the government open for the next 47 days. There's plenty of time to pass government funding bills for the next fiscal year, and I strongly urge Congress to get to work right away. The American people expect their government to work. Let's make sure it does. Now, this means that the government will remain open for the next 47 days. And in addition to that, the announcement for the Social Security cost of living adjustment for 2024, the raise, the increase to benefits across the board for all recipients of retirement, SSI, SSDI, any of the fixed income benefits from the Social Security Administration, it will be delivered on time as scheduled on October 12th. Now, I'm going to give you some of the details regarding the signage of this bill, what unfolded overnight with this huge unexpected breaking news, and in addition to that, how it would have potentially impacted Social Security had we had a government shutdown, what would have happened to checks and services, what would have impacted, what wouldn't have been. Now, in addition to that, a lot of people are wondering, hey, President Biden, what about that promise of an extra $200 per month across the board to all Social Security recipients? And also, what is going on with these letters coming out from the Social Security Administration saying that people owe back pay? As a lot of my viewers here on the channel have let me know this is happening to them, and I've got to let them know this is actually real. Well, stick around to the end for some updates on that as well, so that way you can be caught up on everything. But with that being said, let's go ahead and dive right in. And before we do me a quick favor, smash the like button. Just takes a second, helps me out a ton. Thank you so much. Hit subscribe to stay up to date. It's totally free. Why not? And let me get you caught up on the latest great news regarding Social Security's cost of living adjustment announcement, still on track, and what unfolded last night.
On this vote, the yeas are 335, the nays are 91. 2/3 being in the affirmative, the rules are suspended. The bill is passed, and without objection, the motion to reconsider is laid on the table.
It's been a day full of twists and turns, but the American people can breathe a sigh of relief. There will be no government shutdown. We will keep the government open for 45 days with a clean CR at current funding levels. And we avoided all of the extreme, nasty, and harmful cuts. No 30% cuts across the board. No 30% cuts to things like health care, to the Social Security Administration, to the nutrition programs for kids. Full reauthorization of the FAA until December 31st.
So that was last night in Congress as they finished this hours before it was going to be due. And take a look at this, just coming out this morning. Biden signs a 45-day funding bill to keep the government open. This is linked in the description below. I always cite the sources so you can see it's the latest. Now, the Senate passed a last-minute spending bill Saturday night, averting a government shutdown that would have triggered a calamity, a dominoes effect on the American public and the economy. Now, the Senate voted to pass the continuing resolution 3 hours before the 12:01 a.m. shutdown of the federal government, which would have taken effect. Now, the measure was signed into law by President Joe Biden late Saturday night. I shared with you that tweet that came out with the picture of him signing. The bill allows the government to stay open for 45 days, giving the House and the Senate more time to finish funding legislation. The 71-page short-term bill crafted by House Speaker Kevin McCarthy allocates disaster relief funds, but does not include new financial assistance for Ukraine's ongoing war with Russia. So new funding to Ukraine, it was not included, and I heard a lot of people saying they were happy that our money was not going out overseas, that they're going to be able to use that here for the American people. Now, since the inception of Russia's full-scale war in Ukraine, the U.S. has unleashed a war chest worth more than $43 billion in security assets for Kiev. Earlier on Saturday, the House voted 335 to 91 to pass the stopgap spending measure, and the House will resume work on Monday. So I shared with you that video footage of them passing it. It then went on to the Senate, where it passed, and then President Joe Biden signed it into law. Now, if you're wondering what have been the impacts to Social Security had they not passed this, let's cover the details for you, and also what would have been impacted. And as I mentioned, included in what would have been impacted would have been the announcement for the Social Security cost of living adjustment had the government shutdown passed a couple weeks. Now, this just came out yesterday, and as always, linked in the description below, and it says, The specter of a federal government shutdown, which was averted Saturday thanks to a last-second compromise brokered by House Speaker Kevin McCarthy mere hours before the deadline, raised questions for Social Security recipients about how a potential stoppage could impact their monthly benefit checks. Well, the bill, which passed both the House and the Senate Saturday, will fund the government through November 17th, so things should continue on as expected. In the event a deal had not been reached and a shutdown had occurred, however, experts say that would have come with some good and bad news for the 66 million Americans on Social Security. So would a government shutdown affect Social Security checks? Well, the first good news is that a shutdown won't impact Social Security checks, according to Kathleen Romig, Director of Social Security and Disability Policy at the Center on Budget and Policy Priorities, a left-leaning think tank. Social Security and Supplemental Security Income, or SSI benefits, will be paid without interruption, she said. The field offices and phone lines will be open to take applications and help beneficiaries. She added, generally, applicants and beneficiaries should experience the same service as usual, and that's because the Social Security is funded through permanent rather than annual federal appropriations, which means the checks will still go out. The average monthly check for retirees is $1,827, according to the Social Security Administration. The Social Security Administration said that last month that it will continue with activities critical to our direct service operations and those needed to ensure accurate and timely payment of benefits in case of a shutdown. Now, would a government shutdown affect Social Security services? Now, the bad news is yes. Some services might be impacted by a shutdown, although recipients will continue to receive payments even if other government agencies close. That's because about 15% of the Social Security Administration staff would be furloughed if there's a government shutdown, Romig noted. Now, a few customer activities will be suspended, such as benefit verification and replacement Medicare cards, but Social Security Administration is allowed to keep on staff that ensure the payments of Social Security and SSI benefits because the checks are guaranteed by law, she explained. And another trouble spot could be the state of disability determination services, which makes medical decisions on whether people applying for Social Security disability payments qualify for them or not. The Social Security Administration urges states to continue their work during a shutdown, but the decision lies with the state governments, and in the past, some have closed. Because there are already huge backlogs on disability decisions, the government shutdown could worsen delays, Romig said. But again, as I mentioned, probably the biggest impact to Social Security recipients would have been the delay of the announcement of the cost of living adjustment for 2024, which was scheduled for October 12th. But had this morning, October 1st, we woken up to a federal government shutdown, they're saying it could have possibly lasted a couple weeks, and had that happen, the U.S. Department of Labor would not be able to announce the CPI data reading, which determines the cost of living adjustment for Social Security Administration's raises annually to all beneficiaries, and there would have been a delay in the announcements. However, just to clarify, would not have been a delay in the checks received or the increase applied on January unless the government shutdown lasted that long, which seems unlikely. However, it would have delayed the news, which a lot of people are waiting to see how much are our increases going to be, because this is the annual cost of living adjustment that all recipients receive and look forward to keep up just with the pace of inflation. Now, to get a boost across the board, check out this video right here as I cover it in detail for you. This is from the Expansion Act from Bernie Sanders, one of the many pieces of legislation introduced and reintroduced this year to reform Social Security. And also, if you receive one of those letters in the mail from the Social Security Administration saying that you owe back pay, even if it wasn't your fault, check out this video right here on the latest on those. And as more information rolls out on Congress, the economy, Social Security, I'll be sure to report it and keep you guys up to date here on the channel. But with that being said, you guys, thank you so much for joining me, and I'll catch you in the next video. Take care. God bless. This is Steve.